Alright, so before we start the video, I would like to say something. Let's start by saying that the fight, it's amazing, bro. I think we can all agree that the fight was phenomenal, right? The animation, the visuals, the music, everything. Although while I disagree with the outcome, we can all tell that Metal Sonic was bound to win this death battle. I mean, by general consensus, people generally believe that Metal Sonic will beat Perfect Cell. But that's mostly because, well, Perfect Cell is one of the earlier stage of a villain in Dragon Ball, meaning he never really came back, and well, he's much weaker and is basically a fodder in comparison to Super Saiyan God Goku, while Metal Sonic scales the current Sonic, which, I mean, arguably. Though I would like to say no hate to Death Battle, alright? Don't send him hate or F whatsoever. This video is just purely educational and explaining why, well, everything what they just said is wrong. But yeah, that's pretty much all I'm saying. Like, obviously I enjoyed the video. I love Death Battle, bro. I actually like watch it a lot of times and I endorse to it, even though at times when I disagree of their outcomes, it's still very enjoyable. So yeah, don't send hate to Death Battle. Think of this as a positive, constructive criticism to their research. So let's not waste time and start with the video.
Break this down into 4 categories: strength, speed, abilities, and adaptation.
First up, who was the strongest? Well, it's no surprise that any version of Cell was gonna be way more powerful than base Metal or Neo. Even just using the manga, blowing up a solar system is far beyond the level of power output Metal can match.
Without his stronger forms. With them, the power gap entirely reversed. Not only could Metal match Cell's solar system busting or scaling from Frieza, but he could surpass it with the universe-destroying power of the Emeralds.
But hang on, Wiz, those Namekians said that Cell was strong enough to threaten a universe on his own.
They did, but they didn't specify how, and there's nothing suggesting he could destroy it in one go, especially since it's only brought up theoretically and without any time frame.
Well, that's false, so let's go over it. As shown in the video, they're considering Cell's universal scaling, and it's actually a bit too consistent considering Cell's infinite power and his correlation to the Dragon Ball characters beforehand being stronger than capable of destroying the universe, such as Frieza. However, deductively, they're correct that they could either mean something else, as in like destroying the universe in a significant amount of time, and not actually a one-tap video. But without the unnecessary assumptions, let's just get to the scaling of Cell and how this universal busting feat is actually much superior than you think. Dragon Ball's living universe contains super dimensions and portrayed to be Chojigen, it basically entailing that this specific dimension that within the mortal universe transcends all dimensional axes or all dimensional components, because considering the fact that Cho is a superior in transcendence while Jigen is just what you reference a linguistical format that differentiates dimensionality. Now, we all know this is universal bare minimum. Some people intend to say that, okay, this is just 5th dimensional because, okay, it could just imply that it transcends the normal space and time. The normal spatial into 4 dimensions which would be 4th dimensional, and thus transcending it would be 5th dimensional. However, the entire point of Jigen, well, it literally just represents what dimensionality in a sense, right? It's a linguistical thing that portrays dimensionality. For example, if I were to say 5th Jigen, 6th Jigen, 4th Jigen, which is again 5th dimensional, 4th dimensional, 6th dimensional. To postulate that is transcendence over Jigen, will be postulating that it's transcending dimensionality in itself, all of dimensionality, meaning infinite dimensionality, right? 5th, 4th, 7th, etc., etc. To back up the consistency, there's also many worlds interpretation in the Dragon Ball universe, right? There's infinite dimensionality, right? Quantum mechanics, Hilbert space, etc., due to the correlation of it being a type 3 multiverse, due to the timeline specifically, and well, it's literally stated to have like in correlation to quantum mechanics and well, infinite dimensions. So if it itself that something this high can correspond to the Dragon Ball universe, then it's more consistent to postulate, okay, then this specific construct is not just an ordinary universe. Therefore, the universal scaling, the high hyperversal scaling is applicable. So Cell's universal busting feat is actually universal or high hyperversal depending on how you like postulate the scaling, how you interpret the scaling. But I'll just mostly say universal. But well, you can, it doesn't really matter. High hyperversal, I would think that's more than enough to actually scale above Metal Sonic. I would also like to brought up the fact that even if you can't one-shot a structure like this, if you still manage to affect it or like in time capable of harming it in a significant amount of time, that would imply that you still scale at least to universal to high hyper due to the fact that you have enough power to damage a structure beyond dimensionality. So Cell destroying it in one go wouldn't really matter.
Even being generous and assuming he could just blow it up, final bosses like Time Eater and Solaris can destroy the wider multiverse, and Super Neo Metal would scale to them. Metal Sonic takes the edge in strength.
already scaled Cell above that, so it shouldn't really matter.
Strength.
And with Sonic characters being known for their speed, you might think that was an easy win for Metal.
At his max speed in his super form, he should be comparable to entities like the Time Eater, who in Shadow Generations can destroy entire universes in seconds. By using the radius of the observable universe, we can estimate the Time Eater's destructive wave traveled at about 180 quadrillion times faster than light.
Certainly impressive, but let's compare that to Goku's flight from heaven to hell shortly after the Cell games, which covered roughly a universe in distance at approximately 180 quadrillion times faster than light.
Hey, just like Time Eater. The difference, though, was that Goku was in his base form, way slower than Super Saiyan 2 Gohan or Super Perfect Cell.
Factoring in Super Saiyan multipliers, Super Perfect Cell can move upwards of 100 times faster than that, and so 100 times faster than Metal Sonic. Somehow, Cell takes the edge in speed. You know, the thing Metal was designed for.
Now, me personally, both can scale way higher than what they scale. They portray Cell and Metal Sonic to be massively faster than light, which both of them are clearly
Metal
way
was
above
designed-
that.
Wasn't expecting that. Let's see if any of their abilities could tip the scales.
They shared many of the same powers, like telekinesis, force fields, and energy projectiles. Of note though, Cell's regeneration was clearly superior, able to fully heal from a single cluster of microscopic cells.
On top of that, Cell's Saiyan genes would let him grow in power every time he almost died, and his Cell Juniors gave him the numbers advantage.
And considering Super Neo Metal had a time limit, Cell would have a big advantage in a battle of attrition.
But with Chaos Control, that became a lot tougher.
Cell and his juniors had no way to deal with Metal boosting his speed or stopping time, something that countered Cell's speed advantage and left him open. And with Silver Psychokinesis, or the Emerald Spatial Distortion, Metal could seriously impair Cell's healing.
So it helped that Cell could fall back on his martial arts abilities in a pinch.
Despite effectively being a newborn, Cell's genetic instincts allowed him to best Earth's most skilled warriors back to back to back.
Metal may have copied Eggman's brains, but he definitely isn't as good of a fighter. The Sonic heroes haven't trained like the Z fighters, and Metal's been beaten by all of them a bunch of times. So all that in mind, abilities is roughly a wash.
Cell would have irrelevant and immeasurable speed, and since Cell is out-reversal, he would also equate it to his speed, since Ki amplifies speeds the same way as it amplifies its power, so it would indicate that he will have irrelevant speed to immeasurable speed, which by any means, if you attain that level of speed, you're practically unaffected by time stop, or time in itself. But other than that, when it comes to hacks quantities, I don't have any disagreements with both Cell and Metal Sonic being equal or partially just like relative in terms of that, like there's no given advantages. But when we're talking about hacks quality, Cell definitely has stronger hacks due to the fact that, well, I mean, he has stronger attack potency, and Ki based hacks are literally empowered by his powers or his tier, so he would definitely scale higher than Metal Sonic in terms of
Roughly
hacks
a wash.
quality.
Which leaves us with the one thing they're both known for, their capability to evolve and become more powerful in response to their opponents, aka their adaptation.
And frankly, that's where this back and forth completely breaks. Because at the end of the day, Metal can copy Cell, but Cell can't absorb Metal.
Cell's ability to physically absorb an opponent is primarily viable against foes he can match or overpower.
Even if he took Metal by surprise, he can't absorb fully inorganic robots like Android 16.
Cell was only able to absorb androids 17 and 18 because they were primarily organic.
They're actually more like cyborgs and are only called androids in the English translation.
Metal, on the other hand, can copy a target's biodata through only a few seconds of direct eyesight, something he could easily accomplish during a time stop.
And using it on Cell means he wouldn't just get Cell's powers, but the powers of all of the Z Warriors too.
Remember, Metal's copying applies to abilities that fundamentally affect his own biology, like Espio's invincibility or Chaos's liquid body. Nothing Cell has would be off limits, especially given all of Cell's powers were genetically encoded in the first place, quite literally biodata.
Cell's Saiyan power-ups? Copied. Cell's regeneration? Copied. Cell's key techniques? Believe it or not, copied.
Chaos Emeralds are described as being able to produce life energy, similar to Ki, so there's a precedent for him being able to replicate Cell's power set. And at this point, there's nothing stopping Metal from, say, stopping time and using a Kamehameha to vaporize him at a cellular level. just like Gohan did.
Cell might be able to do anything the Z Fighters know how to do, but that's not gonna help him, cause Metal can do anything Cell knows how to do. Strange, isn't it?
Cell just doesn't have any options to retaliate that Metal wouldn't also possess, including any of his previous advantages. Metal's copy ability is just that overpowered.
Oh, I guess now I get why they called it Sonic CD.
Why's that?
Cell died. Wiz, you get it? CD? Wiz? Where you go?
I can
Come on
potentially
back.
agree that adaptation could go to Metal Sonic here, but really I don't see the point. They haven't really scaled the limitations. Oh, actually they shouldn't even matter, because you can't prove a point where if someone's way weaker than you can't really copy their much stronger abilities. If it's beyond the ranges, or that it's field or domain of scaling, it's extremely much higher than yours, then it wouldn't really matter if you were to basically just like copy it. It could either just be implying that you copy a weaker version of that specific thing and not actually the full extent of what that ability can affect you, which was what Cell's argument should be, is because, well, his ki is just way higher than Chaos Energy. Chaos Emeralds are basically like how Metal Sonic's body, or like biological data when regards to copying, just really doesn't change that much at all. Explain why Cell won't be affected by time stop earlier, so, well, the circular Kamehameha thing won't actually even work. And, well, that also presupposes the fact that Metal Sonic's copying ability extends reaches around the limitations or the power that, or like the parameters that he can obtain. So if like Cell has outer versal durability, if Metal Sonic were to copy Cell's abilities, he would have to have the full extent or ranges of power that is enough to destroy Cell's durability. Because again, like I said, he could just copy a weaker extent of ki, because ki is just beyond his limitations as a whole, because, well, Metal Sonic is just infinitely much weaker than Cell. Other than that, this episode is a 10 out of 10, I'm not even gonna lie. Moro and Devil Artemis, you guys cook on the animation. Really, I did not hate this video. I'm being dead ass. Like, even though I hold the belief, oh my god, that was a bad blunder. Anyways, even though I hold the belief that, well, Cell is much stronger and wins against like Metal Sonic, I actually was rooting for Metal Sonic to win. It's just that because I actually think Metal Sonic is much cooler than Cell, and that it actually should be deserved that he should win this, because, well, he's still around. Cell is no longer around anymore. Like, he's literally like Dragon Ball Z stages. He's not in Super. He's not in any new manga, anime. That's because, well, yes, Cell is an early stage villain, while Metal Sonic is still a villain that's still ongoing. So it should be deserved that Metal Sonic won. Yeah, that's all I really gotta say. This episode was peak. You guys did well. There's no criticism here. Maybe constructive criticism. There's no personal criticism or just negative thing. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Peace.